So I am the CEO of the organization that started it all in 1982. We now have about 50 locations around the country with an additional 125 satellites and hospital partnerships. And I've been invited here to speak by the wonderful Thomas Hedberg. One of the things about cancer, fortunate or unfortunate, is that it is an equal opportunity illness, and you never know who you're going to meet in our hallways. And Thomas is one of those wonderful people that I met a few years ago. So Thomas, thank you so much for inviting me here. It's really a pleasure. I don't know if you wanted to say anything, Thomas, or you want to just chime in down the road, whatever you'd like to do. You're muted at the moment.
Second. Okay, I would like to just say that the Benjamin Cancer Center was a great help to me before I was operated on for prostate cancer, and everything there is free, and so I found it very just natural to want to give a donation there. And I'm really anxious to hear what Julia has to share with us, because cancer is the leprosy of the day. Okay, so I'll just say that, and I've been most grateful to that organization.
Thank you so much, Thomas. And Thomas said the Benjamins. So the Benjamins, Dr. Harold Benjamin and Harriet Benjamin, are our founders. So one of our names is the Benjamin Center. I just want to say it really is a pleasure to be here. And Mary Grace, thank you for your help. I know you're having some internet issues today. I do have a little tiny PowerPoint that if we're able to share, if we have time, it's fine. It's not a big deal. I wanted to first, talk face to face and not have us looking at something on the screen. But I want to say, when I went to your website to see, what was this organization that I was going to be speaking at today, I thought, oh, these are my people. These are my these are my people. Just to give you a little bit of a background about my personal story within the larger story of the cancer support community. I am from Virginia, near the Washington, D.C. area, and I've been in Los Angeles, oh my gosh, 27, 28 years now. And right before I moved to Los Angeles, my father was diagnosed with stage 4 colon cancer. I was a lot younger then, so maybe that's why I felt this way. But at the time, it didn't penetrate that this was a problem, that he wasn't going to survive stage 4 colon cancer. So I was an actress at the time. I had been in New York for 10 years and on my way to Los Angeles. And when I left Virginia to come to Los Angeles, it really didn't occur to me that I would never see my father again, which is what happened. So even the week before he died, I was on the phone with my mother, trying to talk her out of the fact that it was as bad as it was. We talked 6 months ago. He was okay. He's gone through this before. I've got my ticket to come home in 2 weeks. I'll see you all then. And then he died a week later. So as an actress, I was running around town trying to make ends meet, temping, that kind of thing. I was working at KCET and as a temp, for a long-term temp. And my boss at the time said, hey, I've got this friend whose parents founded this really incredible organization called the Wellness Community. And everything they do is free of charge for cancer patients and their families. And their daughter, Annie, needs some help. Would you go help them for a little while? And I said, sure. So I did. So while my father was dealing with his cancer diagnosis back in Virginia, and while my mother was his sole caregiver, I was working at the Wellness Community, now known as the Cancer Support Community. Did I ever once ask for help? I did not. Right down the hallway was group support, counseling, what we call healthy lifestyle classes like yoga, meditation, mindfulness, Tai Chi, Qigong, educational classes. Doctors, psychologists would come in to speak. We don't give any medical advice, but we provide education for our members. There were social activities, child, teen, and family programs. Not once did I ever ask for help. So when I was outlining this talk, it really was very helpful to me. You know, how you look back on your life, and we have many lives in one life. You know, part of my life, I was an actress, and then that fell away. And my creative life is now writing fiction. And then I settled permanently into the cancer support community. I went back for the funeral, and at the funeral, and you know, my father was full on Irish, so we had the wake and the whole 9 yards. We played the lottery, etc. It was a, you know, one of those funerals. I fell apart suddenly and completely. Like they had to pick me up off the floor, and it was a shock to me. So not only was I sort of hiding from this idea that my father was not doing well, but I was hiding from the help that I needed, and I was hiding from my grief. When I came back from that funeral after falling apart, did I ask for help with our bereavement groups? No, I didn't. So I'm obviously, as you can tell from this little bit of my story, very thick-headed. It takes me a slow learner. It takes me a long time. So 5 years went by, 10 years went by, 15 years went by. I have been there now 26 years. And the reason that I've stayed, it began with actually just loving the environment. The Benjamins were an incredible family. Harriet Benjamin had breast cancer in 1972, and at that time it was the big scene. Nobody talked about cancer. Harriet used to say that all anybody wanted to know was, what color wig did she want? And she wanted to talk about much more than that. So Dr. Benjamin was a lawyer at the time. He went back to school, got his PhD, and they opened the cancer support community with their own money in 1982. And they were really at the forefront of what it means to be not just your body, but your mind and your heart and your spirit, and that they all work together. And that you can, but it's probably not optimal to treat just the body and forget about the mind and the heart and the spirit, as Harriet wanted when she went through her cancer 10 years before. So they started this organization just on the premise that, you know, it's much better if people get together and support each other through a traumatic situation in their lives. And this was way before any of the research showed that that was indeed the case, that it's not only helpful for the immune system, but it perhaps leads to better chances of survivorship. So I feel like during my time there, my 26 years thus far at the cancer support community, I have received a transformative education about, and this might sound a little cliched, about what it means to be human. That no, we're not all going to live forever. Yes, we are going to face illnesses in our life, disappointments in our life. Sometimes we move on to the next wonderful adventure. I forget which one of you said that. Sometimes things work out, but through it all, how we live and our quality of life while we're alive is what's important. So I've met people there who really the most dire diagnoses, who could teach me a thing or two about enthusiasm and loving life. And I've met people who have really changed me slowly and surely to see that this life of being in an office, you know, I was an actress, I'm a writer, I'm a creative type. When is this office life going to be over? You know, there was always that, like 20 years ago. Okay, this is just a little stopping place. But over time, I realized that working anywhere, but at this organization, pushing paper, worrying about how I'm going to make payroll, getting promoted more and more and more over the years. Why am I being promoted? Who am I? Has been worth every educational moment for myself. It's not just a healing place for others, but it's been a healing place for myself to work there, to teach me patience, modeling of people who are so inspiring, who, like Thomas, who come into the organization, and I see them and I learn from them. So this organization, let me just tell you a little bit about what it does. In the business, it's called psychosocial support, which means psychological and emotional support for cancer patients and their families. As Thomas said, everything we do is free of charge. It's always been free of charge. When Gilda Radner came to our organization, she said, my car couldn't get me there fast enough to be with other cancer patients, to be nurtured by other cancer patients and their families. And we have what we call 5 pillars of support. One is group support and counseling. The other is healthy lifestyle classes that I mentioned, educational workshops, social activities, and child, teen, and family programs. Like I said, we don't give medical advice, but we do educate. It's a place of non-judgment. We don't tell people what to do. Within the groups, people, our therapists, we call them facilitators. All of our groups are run by licensed psychotherapists, so LCSWs, MFTs, PsyDs, PhDs, but we call them facilitators because really it's the people within the groups who are the experts, and the therapists facilitate the conversation. There's about 40,000 new diagnoses of cancer in Los Angeles County every year. So because though that we serve not just the patients, but we serve the family members, imagine how many family members are attached to those patients. And of course, the biggest risk factor for cancer is aging. So it's something that can potentially affect any of us. I think it's 1 out of 4 people. But I had a wonderful therapist at one time who said, Julia, after age 40, it's all disappointment, illness, and death. And there's great freedom in knowing that. So circle back to how I started this story about hiding from what my father was going through, hiding from the grief I was going through, hiding from the disappointment and the upset that I was going through. And coming to an understanding through working at Cancer Support Community, through working with people like that wonderful therapist, where I finally understood, it's like, oh yeah, it's all disappointment, illness, and death. So let's go have a really good meal. So let's go see a great movie together. Let's go have a party. You know, it's really not a morbid thing. Let's live our lives in the best way possible in this moment with whatever time we have. And that's what the cancer support community teaches me every day. People have asked me, you know, is it depressing? It's not, you know. I did hide for a long time. I thought it was other people who were dealing with things rather than myself, but it has been the opposite of depressing. Is it sad? Yes, absolutely. Sometimes it's very sad. I meet people who I grow to love, and not always is their ending optimal. So I wanted to just give you that little bit of a personal story, and I'm so happy. I've never been so relaxed before a talk. I love all this meditation and all of the sharing that you've been doing. Just before, I'm going to try and share this little presentation, but just before, in the distant past, I started my life in Catholicism, very grateful to it. I had an aunt who was a nun,
We
hello?
can still hear. We can still hear and see.
Oh, I'm so glad. Everything kind of disappeared for a second.
Yeah.
Zoom life. So I had an aunt who was a nun. Not only was she a nun, she was a nurse. She was a captain in the army. She was married twice. Very interesting nun. So I had this interesting Latina Catholic background growing up, which if you know Catholicism, but Latina Catholicism is a little different. That's its own niche. And then I was involved in the Gurdjieff work in my 20s. And now as a very serious meditator the past 15 years, it's more Tibetan Buddhism and Taoism techniques within meditation. So I want to thank you all for bringing all of this meditation before I speak. It's been wonderful to go into a group like this and talk about this organization that I love so much, which, by the way, meditation is a very big part of our program. As I said, we have Qigong, meditation, Tai Chi, mindfulness, self-compassion. For those of you who know Insight Meditation Center, we work with some of their teachers. So I want to thank you for all of that. I'm going to try and share something. Mary Grace warned me this morning that I might not be able to. Should I try, Mary Grace?
Actually, you can, or
I can.
Dana is our technical guy this morning, and I did send him your
Okay.
attachment.
Oh, you
Dana,
did?
maybe
Oh,
you can
wonderful.
put it in there.
I don't have to do anything.
I can load it up.
Thank
Thanks
you
so
very
much.
much.
It'll
Thank you,
take me just
Dana.
a second.
Okay. And I'd love to, hear some of your comments. Interrupt me anytime. I didn't mean this to be a monologue. So, but I'll show you just this presentation, just a little bit of the depth and the breadth of what we do. Many times people, like I said, since 1982, we've been around. Sometimes people say, well, what's the difference between you and this other organization? I think it's experience. I think it's the fact that we have a professional program. I think it's also the fact that we have a headquarters in Washington, D.C. that has a policy institute, a research and training institute. We, our program is evidence-based, and we listen to cancer patients and families. And I'll show you some of the ways that we do that and try to affect change.
The only thing I see on there is a logo that was attached. I don't see a PowerPoint presentation or
Oh.
anything.
Can Julia, can you
Let me see if I
screen-
can.
Yeah,
Oh,
try screen sharing it.
can you
There-
see it?
There you go.
Yes,
Oh, okay. Well,
Great.
thank you for trying. I'm not sure what I sent. It's probably user error on my part, usually is. Okay, let's see here. I want this to do, can I go like this way? Okay, perfect. Okay. So this is our community. And the Benjamins wanted it to be a very home-like setting. So we have a living room, we have group rooms, we have a large what we call a mind-body studio where we have our classes. And people who are welcome to simply come and hang out and chat and be with each other. Some people bring their lunches. You'll see a refrigerator back there. And go to their group in the morning, go to a class in the day or an educational workshop. And what Dr. Benjamin recognized way back when in the 70s and when he was creating this program in his head was that people like his wife, Harriet, when they're going through a trauma, tend to isolate themselves. So he wanted this to be a place of gathering for people to come together and be with each other. So you'll see our mission is to be empowered by knowledge, strengthened by action, and sustained by community. So I mentioned that we are the original organization. We now have over 175 total locations. That includes satellites and hospital partnerships. One of the things that we do at our community is we're very collaborative. This year, I'm happy to say we're at the end of our 3-year strategic plan. And we recognized 3 years ago that we weren't reaching enough people in our territory. Even though we're located at Dundee and LaGrange, our service territory extends to downtown, to Malibu, to El Segundo, and to Marina del Rey. So that's a lot of territory to cover with a small staff. And also there are many people in our city, populations in our city who, and I just think this is the height of inequity, to not only not know that these services exist, but to not be told that they're a part of quality cancer care. The American College of Surgeons, the Institute of Medicine in 2008, 2009, respectively, put out new standards that stated that you cannot have quality cancer care without psychosocial support, without the services that we do. So I know that Dr. Benjamin would be very proud to know that if he were alive today. So these are the pillars of support that I talked about. So our main, again, at no cost, group support and counseling, and you can do whatever you want in our community. So someone will come and say, you know, I'm not a group person. We're like, fine. If you just want to go to meditation, that's absolutely fine. Oftentimes people who say they're not a group person, they end up joining group later on once they get comfortable with the community. But these are all of the different pillars of support that we do. Any questions so far about this type of support? Just chime in. I'll carry on if not. So what we did this year is, you know, through the past 3 years of making friends with different community-based organizations in our city and developing programs is, and this is not on here yet because we just named our services for the under-resourced population. We call it HEART, and it stands for Healing Equitably Through Action, Resiliency, and Teamwork. And the teamwork part is very important because no one organization can do it all. So we partner with the LGBT Center. We partner with Village Health Foundation, which is in Arlington Heights, primarily for the African-American population. We partner with the Safety Hospital Adventist Health White Memorial downtown for the Latinx population with our Spanish-speaking program. And we now have a partnership with the Angeles Plaza, which is downtown near Angels Flight. It is the largest low-income senior residency organization that's supported by HUD, and it has primarily a Korean-speaking population. And so we have hired a Korean-speaking therapist, and we're starting to build a program there. And we also have our young adults and child and teen program because in the city, there is a huge gap for children and young people when it comes to their psychological and emotional well-being during the trauma of cancer. And we serve children who have cancer or children who are impacted by cancer in the family. And right now we're trying to get off the ground a partnership with the Pediatric Brain Tumor Foundation, where we want to do 2 programs. It's a little tricky serving children in the digital space right now. So we want to serve the parents of who have a child with a brain tumor, who are either bereaved or who are going through the experience. And I should have mentioned during COVID, what we did over the course of a weekend is we transitioned all of our services to the digital space. Our numbers are growing, actually, compared to 2019 of people served. As a matter of fact, our first quarter visits have, compared to 2020 first quarter, which was still in person, have jumped by 50%. So in this time of COVID, folks with cancer really, really need our services. So now the research is demonstrating, these are the 3 points that Dr. Benjamin talked about in the late 70s and going into the early 80s, is that people who are experiencing the trauma of cancer experience unwanted aloneness, loss of control, and loss of hope. And the research is now showing that these groups, the support groups that we do, reduce these 3 stressors. So this just gives you an idea of just our support groups and counseling. This does not include our education and our classes, but you see we have a lot of different groups for specific cancers. Over here on the left, blood cancer, pancreatic, etc. And then we have what we call participant groups, folks with cancer, caregiver groups for family members. These are all mixed diagnoses, various stages. Those groups meet every week with the same people. And the diagnosis and population-specific groups are what we call drop-in. People drop into those groups when they feel they need it. And then you see our different co-sponsored support groups that we have for under-resourced around town. So education, as I said, is really, really important. You know, not everybody is the same, of course. Some people don't want more information. It actually stresses them out, and that's fine. But other people find that given the chance to talk to some of the best oncologists in the city, therapists, psychologists, nutritionists, is very helpful. So we do about 65 educational workshops per year. And you see this is our Tai Chi instructor, Marianne Liu, here in the front. You can't see our big room there, but that is a happening. And that brings us to our healthy lifestyle classes. So, you know, as you all did at the beginning of this group, the mindfulness meditation, I'm sorry, I wasn't there for the whole thing. I couldn't get into the group for some reason. You know, I've drunk the Kool-Aid now for 15 years. I couldn't, for me, meditation is like food. I don't know how I would live without it. And the mindfulness programs at Cancer Support Community are very, very well attended. And Qigong and Feldenkrais, Tai Chi, etc. And then social activities. And this is something that, this is the one part of our program that has, the attendance has gone down a little bit. I don't know if it's Zoom fatigue or once, but we do have something called Celebration Circles that's still going strong, where people get together and talk about things to celebrate in life, not necessarily cancer related. It can be, you know, hey, my hair's grown back, or, you know, that surgery went really well. And when we're in person, it's a potluck. So it's just a real fun get together. And then we also have comedy nights too, in the spirit of Gilda Radner. So our child, teen, and family program is really, really growing. As I said, there's a huge gap in the city. And we do age appropriate, of course, therapeutic interventions that can include counseling. We still have our counseling online right now. And we see it all as the family system. So we do a lot, again, when we're in person, we do a lot of family oriented things. Like we were just ready to go to California Pizza Kitchen, where the kids were going to learn how to make pizza and have some fun with their parents. We've gone to bake cakes together, to, you know, different kinds of outings that can help relieve stress for the families. And then I talked a little bit about why we're different. So we have a helpline. These are some of our, I should say too, that we're all of those locations that you saw around the country, we're all our own 501c3. So local money stays local, but we do operate under a charter, and we have a headquarters in Washington, D.C. And that headquarters has a helpline, a cancer experience registry, and open to options. And this just tells you a little bit about it. The helpline, toll-free, staffed by licensed mental health professionals, so people can call up anytime. It's bilingual, medical translation service for 200 languages for anybody who needs support. You don't have to be a member, by the way, to call this helpline. When I say member, that just means you've come to the organization and you've signed up. Open to options. Any of you who have been through cancer, or have been through cancer in the family, you know how many decisions you have to make, sometimes in a very short amount of time. And so we recognize that this is something that we could help people through this decision-making process. So some of our therapists are trained in open to options, very brief 1-hour session, where you can develop this personal list of questions, things that are important to you, that you want to talk to your doctor about. I mean, it can be as simple as, you know, a person who has breast cancer who wants to be able to hold their infant. How can we keep that in mind during the surgery? What can we do? Dr. Shannon LaCava, she's a PsyD, is our chief clinical officer. She is trained in open to options, and she runs our entire program. My Lifeline is an online web-based support system where it has calendars, very private. You can invite your friends and family. You can, create these calendars. I need help with food, during these weeks of my surgery. I need help with childcare. It's all very cancer based. If you've heard of Caring Bridge, that's another online platform. This is my Lifeline is cancer specific, and it was developed by our headquarters. And then this just shows you, when you go onto our site, here's our calendar, our website, and you can sign up for any of the classes here. There is a Zoom registration. We keep things very safe. Everything we do is very confidential. The only reason I shared Thomas's visit to our community is that I know that he is okay with that. If I meet somebody at Trader Joe's who's part of our community, I do not go up to them and ask them how their cancer is. We're very, very conscientious about confidentiality. And then this is our program team. Dr. LaCava, Larissa is now our program manager. Michal is our clinical associate. He does our orientation meetings. And Deborah Brownstone, she does our individual counseling and supervision. We have an intern program where folks from around the city who have finished their coursework, they come to get their hours of training with us within the cancer care world. And that is the presentation. I hope that was helpful to give you a little bit more of a visual of who we are and what we do. Are there any questions that you have for me about the community or about the program? And of course, as I said, when we open, you're welcome to come visit. Yes, hi, is it Dr. Jenny? You're muted.
So I am very touched and moved by your presentation, because I had cancer to the tongue in 2019, and I have never heard of your organization. And so now I am very touched, and I'm gonna call them for support. And I'm very blessed for today.
Oh, good, wonderful, thank you. And please feel free to reach out if you have any questions about how to join the program. And this is one of the things that, we hate it when we hear that nobody knows about us, but we're a small organization, even though we're small but mighty, and it can be difficult to get the word out. We do have an incredible professional advisory board of doctors around the city, from all of the different hospitals who, spread the word to their patients and to the families. But it is hard to make sure that people know about us. So I'm glad that you've
Thank you.
now, and please, spread the word.
I will.
Thank you. Thank you.
I see Jasmine
Julia?
has her hand raised. Jasmine.
Oh, hi, I'm sorry. I wasn't sure who was talking.
Oh, Mary Grace.
Oh, hi,
Jasmine
Mary
has
Grace.
her hand raised, but she didn't do it where you can see it. It's on chat. Jasmine, you have to unmute yourself.
Right.
Okay.
Greetings.
Hi, Jasmine.
Hi. Have you heard of Black Women for Wellness?
Yes, I have. I get their newsletters.
Women for Wellness.
Yes, I get their newsletters. Absolutely.
Yes. And this week is Black Infant Maternal Health Week. And I just wanted to uplift you and your family and this presentation, because it is so beautiful and so needed, and in the fact that in our own community we have people that haven't heard of it. It's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking to hear and heartbreaking to know. but I'm grateful that you know of it and are aware of it, and thank you so much. And I hope
Absolutely.
that there's a stronger outreach and stronger,
It is.
yeah.
Yes, and Jasmine, we're building our program in Arlington Heights. If you have a specific personal connection with that organization, please let me know, because we're always, looking to have those conversations about what's needed in the community. We trained a therapist who lives in Arlington Heights, and she is the one who is, serving that group there through Village Health Foundation. And she's doing a lot of outreach for us too, to meet more organizations. So always looking for more connections.
Julia?
Yes. Hi, Thomas.
Thank you for the presentation. I want to focus. I originally went to the Cancer Center seeking information about cancer, but then my wife suddenly died of a hemorrhagic stroke. And just ironically, I was nearly kicked out of the group because they said I didn't have cancer. And my father had died of prostate cancer, and then I had it. But the grief group was really important for me, and I stayed with it at least a year.
Yes, yes.
So that's a very important part of your whole community. And I think it's one of the best kept secrets in West Los Angeles.
Yeah.
And I think we need to get the news out.
Yes, yes, absolutely. Thank you, Thomas. And our mission is, of course, cancer specific, but you had a couple things going on at the same time, didn't you? That were cancer related, as well as what was happening with your wife. So yeah, absolutely.
Afton also has her hand up. It's better if you physically put it up so you can see it on the screen. She has it up on chat. So I don't know if you can see that.
Okay. Hi. This is very synchronistic. I just had a mastectomy 3 weeks ago, and physically I'm doing fine, but emotionally and psychologically I'm doing terribly. I'm with Huntington. I asked them, they had no recommendation for supports groups. I could not believe it. I said, how can a surgeon and an oncologist not have something so important? Then I got a recommendation for a group in West LA, not your group. I called and they said, we're on hiatus during the pandemic, even with Zoom. And they just had a recording, not even a real person that you could see.
Goodness.
And then Mary Grace, let me know this was happening. Well, my brain fog is so bad, I forgot what day it was and I'm late. I truly woke up. It was an hour before I had to say, is it Thursday? Is it Friday? Yeah. Oh my God, it's Tuesday. It's mastery. And I went to bed looking forward to this group. So that's something. Yeah. I specifically wanted a breast cancer.
Right.
My experience is breast cancer emotionally is, I don't believe, like any other cancer. It's psychologically and spiritually. So I was thrilled that you were coming on when Mary Grace told me. Then I was just devastated that I forgot what day it was. I got in only 10 minutes late for your talk, but still I wanted to be part of the sharing because it was, all part of the day. But I'm thrilled that you exist, but truly, why don't these major hospitals and the oncologist and the breast surgeons know about this?
I know it's something that we struggle with. We do our best to remind them. We stay very connected to our PAB. And I'm so sorry, I'm so bad with California geography. Is Huntington out in the Pasadena area?
It's in Pasadena.
Okay.
Okay. Really, the major hospital in Pasadena.
Yes, it is, isn't it? And that's so interesting because there is a CSC located in Pasadena. Not only is there a CSC in Pasadena, but the former head of Huntington Hospital is on their board. is on the CSC board.
They don't talk
This
to each
happens all
other.
the time. I
Yeah.
know this happens all the time. And I'm going to actually tell the CEO out of Pasadena your story so that,
And if you
know,
give me brochures and stuff, I will make sure they have them in their office.
right. Thank you. And when we're in person, we would rely on our members to, they'd grab brochures, they'd give them to their doctors, they'd hand them out. Yeah, exactly right. But, and I just want to say, you know, you're welcome to use our online groups. You're welcome to use
Oh, I'm going to join
Pasadena's.
the one, you said you had one Wednesday, 4 to 6, just for breast. for
Yes,
breast
you'll see that
cancer,
list and
who
you'll see where
already
you
had
fit.
it. And that is,
Mhm.
I'm going to call them right away.
Okay, good. I'm glad.
So
And
that's,
thank you for
thank
that
you.
information.
I believe in synchronicity. So this
Yeah.
was synchronicity for me.
Yes, I'm so glad.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
I would like to know where you draw the line in terms of attending your programs. Like, for instance, personally, my father had colon cancer
Mhm.
over 20 years ago. He didn't die from it. He had it surgically removed.
Yeah.
That is my connection to cancer.
Right.
So
right.
is it open to anyone that has ever been connected in any way to cancer, or does it have to be more direct?
Right. You know, Samuel, that is something that I would hand over to the program team, not being a clinician myself. Generally speaking, it really depends. You know, we recognize that somebody who's just diagnosed might go 2-3 years without having the wherewithal to attend to their emotional needs. You know, they're just getting things done, they're getting through their surgery, they're getting through their treatment, they're taking care of their families, and then years later it will hit. It can be like a PTSD, right? So we absolutely recognize that. In your case, I would probably have you talk to our program team, because our mission is very much cancer related, but we also recognize that the trauma of cancer is different for every person and can go on for years. You know, does that make sense?
Yeah, sure. I just wanted clarification for me and everyone else.
I understand. Yes, thank you. Yeah, you know, for me, my father died, 28 years ago. And it changed my family so profoundly for so many years in such secret ways, you know, that it took me forever to really come to terms with it. And I even have a little photo of my father from in my office as inspiration to, you know, stay with myself, you know, stay with myself and my feelings. It's a photo of him in Ireland right before he left for America, and he's holding up a big fish. He just went fishing. There's a fedora on and a tie. He's like, wow, Dad, you really, you know, dressed up to go fishing there in Ireland. But, you know, and it's a reminder that these things are lifetime experiences.